It is time for the next installment of Conversations, a series focused on highlighting the companies and individuals who are pushing our industry forward through innovative thinking. I'm Dean Horowitz, president of PBM and publisher of Furniture Today. In this episode, I get the honor of talking with Sam Malouf, president and CEO of Malouf. He leads, motivates, and energizes a very special group of 100-plus employees and takes them on an ever-evolving ride. For them, it's about innovating, manufacturing, and importing quality bedding products. What started as a personal shopping expedition for upscale bedding became a multi-brand provider of bedding and sleeping accessories. Let's engage in his disruptive story. Sam Malouf, am I pronouncing your last name properly? Malouf Sleep? What's the proper name of the company?
The company's name is Malouf. We couldn't get the domain. It's owned by a large car dealership in Michigan. We were not able to negotiate for the domain. And so Malouf Sleep, we were previously Malouf Fine Linens, but our line expanded far from that. And so we wanted to be more clear to customers that it's not just a linen company. And so about, 3 years ago, I think we stripped the fine linens off and just made it Malouf.
Perfect.
Yep.
But you've already established high design, innovative products. What I admire is the culture. Everybody that I've met that works in your company seems to have that same enthusiastic, hunt for quality type feel. Like they don't want good, they want excellent.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you got there.
Well, we have a lot of really great people here. I think as we look back on the history of the company, and we've been in business about 13 years now, and the major growth started about 6 or 7 years ago when we actually started bringing people onto the company. Previous to that, it was just, a 1- and 2-man show with my wife and I running the company. But yeah, we have really great people, most of whom didn't come from anywhere near the, home furnishings or furniture or bedding industries. That I think we have a lot of young and new to career people that have very open minds and are very progressive in their thinking, and who like to continuous improvement. We like searching for ways to do things better and do things differently, and we just always like elevating, I guess.
So how do you hire? There has to be a process.
It's a good question. So, there's about 140 of us now, and 6 years ago there were 2 of us. So it's been a pretty steep ramp. But we're located in a pretty small area called Cache Valley in northern Utah. There's about 120,000 people that probably live here. There's a university called Utah State University here, and so there's a lot of really great people that live here. A little bit more of a lot more of a small town feel. We're about 80 miles north of Salt Lake City, which is the big city for us. But there's a lot of really skilled, educated, passionate people that are here in the valley, and that's our primary feeding ground as far as new employees is locally here. So I think a lot of our hiring process is probably typical.
So there's Blend Tech that is picked up everywhere as great marketers as well. Why is your area the hotbed of innovative marketing too?
It is a little bit. I think there's a pretty scrappy, hungry, opportunistic attitude to a certain degree here in Utah. I think that and I'll see if what Mike and Jake think about this, but I think we embrace, capitalism and opportunity in a pretty heavy way. And so I think there's not a lot of ceilings and boundaries that people create for themselves here. I think the economy's good here. It's not the strongest place in the country by any means, but I think that there's kind of I think many people here come from modest backgrounds, and
so good work ethic.
Yeah, want more. And so I think there is a lot of search for better and building and progression. So
tell me about the journey that you and your wife say, there's an opportunity here, let's focus in on it, and then you went from 0 to, 200 miles an hour?
Sure. Well, I think as we look back and then kind of look at where we're at now, people often ask, they say, well, is this what you envision? And I say, no, I mean, never. This was not the goal. This wasn't what we were driving for, obviously. I mean, it's been a gradual adaptation, I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think the first 6 or 7 years that we were in business, it was just my wife and I initially, and then we started having children, and then it was mostly just me. Um, but we started very small.
But what was the idea? What made you say there's an opportunity here there's an unserved segment of the market?
Sure. Well, what initially sparked the idea was precisely this. In 2003, we got married, and I remember right before we got married, we were shopping with my mother-in-law to buy sheets for our new apartment. And we were looking at some $100 sheets at some store, and I thought, wow, that's a lot of money to pay for some sheets, and they weren't that nice. We sell sheets that are much more expensive than that too now as well. But at the time, I was sleeping on a air mattress with sheets from a garage sale that I picked up in Mexico, and so I was kind of coming from a little different place, and so I was appalled that we were even considering a purchase like that. And then I think as it went on, I found the sheet area interesting, and our idea was, gee, there's a lot of money in between here, and there's got to be a way that we could provide nicer products that everybody could, that could be more reachable for everybody. And that's still kind of one of our guiding principles now, is that there's people in different, all sorts of different income levels, and there's different all different levels of traction to different products and what people will spend on things and how nice they want it to be, and all different things. And our approach is that we want to provide, the nicest things possible at the lowest prices. So in the high luxury lines like French linen that we recently entered into about a year ago, we provide them at prices that the middle market can purchase at. And so that was kind of our goal, was to provide higher luxury at attainable prices for everybody, not just for the people that are in the high luxury market.
Is that almost a mission statement, or is it a mission statement for the company?
It is, yeah. One of our main tags is attainable luxury. So, sleep is important, and good sleep is luxurious, and there's different levels obviously therein. But our goal is to provide most anything that people would consider luxurious or nice in bedding at a price that most anybody could afford. So
if we had this conversation when you were first starting out, what would you tell me about your company, and then how is it different from today?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, when we first started out, we were just a sheet company. So that was in the early 2000s, when there was a thread count craze and Egyptian cotton was the rage. And that was what we were focused on. We were focused on the marketing and the customer value of Egyptian cotton, and thread counts up to 1,200 and 1,500 thread counts. But it was a sheet company, and so at the time, we were battling to have retailers, specifically mattress stores, interested in sheets, because that was kind of last in the pecking order as far as accessories that they wanted to bring on and promote with mattress sales. So at the time, we were kind of trying to beat the door down with sheets and say, hey, these are important to mattress sales, and that's still a message and an initiative that we have today. But yeah, as far as product, that was different then. Whole different set of challenges. Obviously, we were a lot smaller. So,
but they introduced the pillows, other products. You just saw, as you were in the category, you saw more niches to build off of?
Yeah, that was our attitude early on, as we said, well, we have these customers and this this channel that we work in, and we're selling one of probably the last in line items, and we wanted to expand products that would cater to those same customers. And so that's the order it basically went in, with sheets, mattress protectors, pillows, bed frames, later toppers, and so forth. So,
but always great design.
Yeah. I think our look is probably different than it started out, but it's always had a pretty edgy, monochromatic. Yeah, you got it.
I love this.
Bold branding. So Yeah, branding's always been important. And sometimes we look back to the beginning days and we say, oh, we've come a long way with the branding, but it all came from, I think, a pretty similar place. And I think considering that it was, coming from a couple of college kids that didn't know what they were doing even back then, I think that we, created a good start, something to build from.
So what types of retailers were the early adopters, and what has been your acceptance rate, and
Sure.
where are you with all that?
Yeah, well, I'll tell a little bit of a story on that. I mean, when we first started, I was, looking through Yellow Pages and finding places that sold mattresses, and that was kind of, the approach. Actually, our first probably legitimate retail customers were, one that we still work with today is Bedmart, Oregon. We were at the time the company was located in the Portland area. We finished college and decided to move to Portland and took the company with us, and that's kind of where things started. And Bedmart is buying sheets from us now, 12 years later, and they purchased sheets from us back then. And I think when we entered the market with sheets, it was kind of an overpriced, undervalued industry offering as far as the sheets went, and there were just numerous failed programs throughout the country. And so I think a lot of retailers were kind of, and there's been a huge focus in the last 5, 6, 8 years on accessorizing in mattress stores. And at that time, a lot of them had failed at it, and it wasn't going well. And so sheets were, the worst inventory debacle. People weren't successful with it, and so a lot of them, had failed programs in place. And that was probably the biggest challenge, was convincing people to try another program. And so obviously one of our big hits was we'd focus on packaging. We noticed that there was a lot of underservicing in the packaging area, and we were, neither of us are designers, but, we were appalled at the time that things would be packaged so poorly, and said, well, no wonder it's not selling. So we'd package things well, and our prices were, very, very low. I mean, we continue now to be more of a volume seller and less of, we're not margin greedy. We like to sell in volume and then allow the stores to kind of decide how much margin they want to make. And I think at the time that was some of the big sell points was pricing and, appeal and the value proposition of the product.
So if we looked at the top 100,
Yeah.
Are they picking up on what you're offering?
Yeah, sure. I might look to Mike to get a percentage, probably 25%. We probably are.
Should we bring Mike onto the camera?
What's that?
Should we bring Mike in?
No, that's all right. No.
No, that's not Mike. That's Jake. Mike!
Hello.
Talk to us, Mike.
So I think last time I counted, we actually had 28 of the top 100 and are currently working with putting programs together for another 15 to 20 of them. So they're definitely recognizing the quality and the packaging advantages that we offer, and are picking up on it and liking what they have. So
Nice.
we felt very, very fortunate.
So how do you measure? You've grown quickly, you said, from an outside perspective, great culture, again, excellence, but you've got to be having conversations. You've got to have a vision that you're checking along the way.
Sure.
What are you using? So
I think market penetration is probably one of our guidelines for growth. We are a major player in our space in the industry, but we continue to find customers that either haven't dealt with us or haven't experienced our products. And when we see that, we say there's a lot of opportunity, still out there. And additionally, we have, one of the widest product offerings in the accessory category, that exists in the country. And so not all of our customers carry all of the product that they could and should carry. So we see a lot of optimization opportunity with our customers through training, through just, product awareness, and that type of thing, in addition to the numerous stores that we don't sell to. And some of these, even, our competitors don't have penetration in those stores. They just are stores that still haven't adopted, the full accessorizing approach to selling mattresses. So I think that's a barometer for growth for us, in the industry in the U.S.
So How about for employees?
Yeah.
How are you
Okay.
measuring their success as well?
Sure. So on the company side, we try to hire people with potential. So we actually just an interview this week where we're speaking with a very inexperienced new individual that we were looking to hire, and she was saying, "Hey, what's important to you when you're hiring people?" And we expressed to her we look more at the potential and less at the present with our hires. And so I think as we assess, we think it's a rule of success and happiness is progression. And so if people don't have an opportunity to progress or they're not progressing, it's not positive, and it will eventually probably end the scenario. And so we look to employees, back to your earlier question on hiring, we look at people that have a lot of potential, not that just have immediate value. And so I think for our employees, we look to providing opportunities for them to grow and to build on experiences and to increase skill and contribute to the company. And that's, I think, what most employees would say here is that they have an opportunity to have their hands on the wheel and to steer the ship, and that people like that, and they like being able to recognize their contributions and kind of see the impact that they provide to the company. So, but yeah, that and just overall employee happiness is a big importance to us. So,
Are you a learning environment?
yeah. So, yes.
Yes, sir.
I was going to say, I don't know if you have a specific question on that,
But and then how do you make sure it is a learning environment? Is it that everyone's so curious, or do you have a structure?
sure. So, in different areas, I think there's different things. And I'll give a few examples. So, like in our design, we have a design staff of about 6 designers, and they will attend conferences. They actually meet and cross-train each other on a weekly basis, and so they'll assign topics, and one of them will do some research and then do a presentation to each other on, hey, this is a different way to, approach, this packaging design, or here's a great approach for creating an infographic, or different things like that. Same thing goes in our imagery group with our photography group. Our salespeople train each other, I think, educationally on their approach in selling. So, we sometimes will have people present on, sales approaches and technique and attitude, and then also just sharing successes. We have a really expansive programming and coding software team, and those guys are some of the geniuses of the company, and they share their approaches and strategies with each other. So I think it's probably a company of learning based on sharing and teaching, probably maybe learning by others and teaching. I don't know if Mike collaboration. Okay, that's probably the right word to use there. So
That's
anyway,
excellent. So peers helping each other out and saying, we'll all get to this level. It's just not me having to get this level.
yeah, we are. I mean, we used to brag about how small we are, and I guess compared to large companies, we're still very small. But for us, we're getting a lot bigger than we used to be. And I think one of the challenges we identified is communication, and so we stress heavily collaboration. If you walk through our office at any given moment, there's usually probably 5 to 10 meetings happening, and so people do a lot of meetings. And sometimes you say, "Gee, when do we get the work done?" But I think the wrong, misguided work is not really taking you anywhere. And so we have a lot of collaboration, coordination, and meetings so that we can share what we're learning, and ultimately we're all on a team, and that's kind of the environment we've created here. Is it's a team environment where everyone's working together, and you have to work with a lot of different people to get things done. So
That's wonderful. So final question.
okay,
Let's say you right now can go back in time to you and your wife. You're starting the company. What lessons would you give you 13 years ago that would have made it even easier to get to this point?
I think about when things changed, and I think that this is kind of just general business advice. But I think that as an individual, many of us can do our stuff the best, right? I mean, you say, gee, if I could have 20 of me, I could get all this stuff done, but that's not real. It doesn't happen. But I think when you're starting a project on your own, it's easy to get sucked into the, hey, I'm going to do everything myself. And that lasted for quite a while for us. And of course, we were small, and so we couldn't really afford a big staff. But I think what I've learned as time goes on is that not only is there synergy from working together with people, but you can reach heights and potentials that are completely unimaginable on your own. And so I think one of the big realizations for me is that by leveraging and combining people's abilities and attitudes and experiences, just the potential is elevated, beyond what you could ever imagine doing on your own. And I think that's one of the big things that's been for me is, we take a lot of pride in our people and their attitude to their work and their happiness here. And I think it's demonstrative of where the company is now is because of the people that are here. So that'd be one thing.
Great. No, that's wonderful. Again, you see it when you go into one of your showrooms.
Yeah.
There's a energy there that you don't see anywhere else.
Yeah, a lot of people working together. We always, we got about half the company each Vegas, and we always tell people, we say, hey, everyone down, to the programmers are on the sales floor, so you get a real approach there because you get a lot of, it's a minority that are the salespeople. So.
Okay, so being transparent is great for employees and great for your customers, but it does offer mimicking. And in a marketplace that's known for mimicking, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, great question. So I'll hit that, and then maybe I'll loop back around a little bit to the some of the building aspects and so forth. But I think that our approach is that we're trying to collect the best ideas and the best approaches in the world, and our best innovative ideas, and then we're trying to bring them to market so we can share them. Along with that, and elevate the ideas beyond where they're at. So that's one of our tasks, I think, that we owe the end consumers and our customers is we literally search the world. We go to markets all over the world, and we're looking for, what are the best products and what are the best, most innovative and new approaches, and then we try to combine all that together and bring the best products to market. So with that, like you said, there's transparency and there's ability for copycatting, and that doesn't really concern us. I think that with the pace we move at, and along with all the other components that we bring to our customers, from service to to selection to attitude and so forth, we're not as worried about the copycatting, and we're always moving. And so if something's working, we're going to make it keep working and make it better. And if something's not working, we're going to be finding the best thing out there. And so it doesn't really concern us a lot. I think I just put it that way.
So what about the building?
Okay, so about the building. So you talked about, I think, employee satisfaction. That's probably what a lot of people would talk about is some of the perks and the benefits that that keep them happy here. And that's a lot of our approach with hiring is we like to hire people. We like them to stay. And so we like to invest heavily in their success and their happiness, just all around. So we started the concept of this building about 3 years ago when we were, about a third the size. And so we're fitting barely in the building that we just finished. But the building's made up of a lot of different things that I think focus on the employees. So one of the things we're known for in our company and people that want to work here is we have a team of chefs and a full commercial kitchen, and we cook they cook an amazing lunch every day, and basically at the same time every day, all the employees, all 100 of us, gather in our lunchroom and eat together. So it's it addresses convenience and efficiencies and health benefits, but probably the biggest benefit is the collaborative environment that it creates. And so, you get a top level executive sitting with a warehouse worker, sitting with a administrative person in customer service. Everybody mixes together, and the focus is more on people and probably less on work in those times. But I think it opens doors for during work collaborations through lunch. And so that's a big component of our company. There's a lot of other elements. We focus a lot on flexibility and kind of free agency and self-direction. So we don't have a vacation policy, for example. People can govern themselves and take the time off that they need or want and get their work done. We do that so that people care about what they're doing and they want to be here at work and they don't want to feel like they're being, taskmastered and in more of a directive environment. So that's one of the other elements. We focus and encourage a lot of physical activities. So we have a full basketball court in the office. We've got a 2-story gym with cardio and weights and Olympic lifting, and we have a lot of expertise in those areas. We have some state champion Olympic lifters, and we have a cycling team. Some of the cyclists are competition level riders, and so we have some great cyclists there. We sponsor softball teams and soccer teams, and actually a demolition derby driver as well. So hopefully you can end up in Logan during the demolition derby. That's a good one. So there's a lot of elements that way. We recently put in. We've got. Well, I'm trying to think the other perks. Maybe these guys can shout out. What else am I missing?
You're hitting.
Yeah.
You're hitting a lot of them.
Yeah. So, the office itself, all the desks are sit-stand desks, so you can sit down, you can stand up and move around. We think chairs are important for the right ergonomics, and so we invest heavily in those things. But, the office is set up to be light and bright and open. There's windows that, look out over the mountains and stuff. And so I think we believe that if people are happy at work and that work makes it so they're happy at home as much as they can be, that they'll come back and be happy to come back and work harder and smarter and create ideas and help us continue to grow. So that's one of our big initiatives is try to be real. So
good. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thank you.